Before this story even truly begins, I want you to pause for just a second. If stories about unexpected kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles touch your heart, tap the like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the very end, because what begins as a single sentence from a hungry child will change several lives forever. Please don't take our food, my mom is sick, the boy said, his voice barely louder than the hum of the refrigerator behind the counter. His hands were shaking as he held a paper bag to his chest, like it was the most valuable thing in the world. The man standing in front of him, tall, well-dressed, eyes tired from years of responsibility, froze. He was used to boardrooms going silent when he spoke, used to numbers bending to his will. But no one had ever stopped him with words like those. Earlier that evening, the grocery store was preparing to close. Lights buzzed softly overhead, and the last few employees moved with slow, end-of-day motions. The CEO of one of the fastest-growing food distribution companies in the country had stopped by unannounced. As a single father, he often shopped late at night after putting his daughter to bed, preferring the quiet aisles where no one recognized him. He wore a simple jacket, no driver, no assistants. Just another tired dad picking up milk, bread, and something easy to cook. That night, though, he had noticed the boy and his mother the moment he walked in. The mother moved slowly, leaning on the cart as if each step took effort. Her face was pale, lips dry, eyes sunken but gentle. The boy, maybe 8 or 9, kept glancing up at her, guiding the cart, reminding her to sit when she swayed. They had filled the cart with only the basics: rice, canned soup, bread, a small carton of eggs. Nothing extra. Nothing sweet. When they reached the counter, the cashier scanned the items, and the total appeared on the screen. The mother's shoulders sagged. She reached into her purse, counted her bills once, then again. Her fingers trembled. She whispered something to the boy, and he nodded, biting his lip. She turned to the cashier and asked, barely audible, if she could put a few items back. Before the cashier could respond, a store supervisor walked over. There had been problems recently, people trying to leave without paying, confusion at closing time. The supervisor's tone was firm, suspicious. He asked if there was an issue. The mother tried to explain, her voice weak, but the words tangled. When the supervisor reached for the bag of already scanned groceries, that was when the boy stepped forward and said the words that stopped everything. "Please don't take our food, my mom is sick." The CEO felt something crack open inside his chest. He didn't know why those words hit him so hard, but they did. Maybe it was because years ago, after his wife passed away suddenly, his own daughter had looked at him with that same fear, the fear that the world might take more than it gives, the fear that adults sometimes don't listen. He stepped closer and spoke calmly. He asked the supervisor to give them a moment. Then he crouched down so he was eye level with the boy. He asked him his name. The boy hesitated, then answered. He asked about his mom. The boy explained that she'd been sick for months, that she couldn't work anymore, that they were staying in a small room behind a closed laundromat where a kind owner let them sleep at night. The food was for the next few days. After that, the boy didn't know. The CEO stood up and looked at the mother. He introduced himself simply, by his first name. He told the cashier to keep scanning. All of it. Then he told her to add more: fresh fruit, vegetables, chicken, anything that would help someone get stronger. The mother tried to protest. Embarrassed, tears spilling down her cheeks, but he gently stopped her. He said, "Tonight, let someone help you." When they finished, he paid. Quietly. No speeches. No cameras. Just a receipt printed in a bag filled with food and dignity. But the story didn't end there. Outside the store, the CEO asked if they had a way home. The boy explained where they stayed. The man frowned, not in judgment, but in concern. He offered them a ride. The mother hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes, but the boy nodded. Something about the man felt safe. During the drive, the mother shared her story. She had been a caregiver before she got sick herself. No family nearby. Medical bills that swallowed her savings. She talked slowly, apologizing often, as if her life had become an inconvenience to the world. The CEO listened. He didn't interrupt. He had learned, through loss, that listening was sometimes the greatest gift. When they reached the laundromat, the CEO made a decision that would change everything. He gave her his card. Not the corporate one, his personal number. He told her to call in the morning. He said he couldn't promise miracles, but he could promise effort. That night, after putting his daughter to bed, the CEO sat alone in his kitchen, staring at the walls. He thought about how close success and suffering lived to each other, sometimes just a few streets apart. He thought about how many times he had signed papers, approved budgets, and talked about community impact, without ever seeing the faces behind the words. The next morning, the call came. Within weeks, the mother was connected to proper medical care. It turned out her condition was serious but treatable, made worse only by stress and malnutrition. The CEO used his company's resources not as charity, but as opportunity. He found her a role that fit her limitations, something meaningful. He arranged tutoring for the boy, who turned out to be bright beyond his years, curious, gentle, and protective. Months passed. Strength returned to the mother's face. Laughter returned to their small world. One afternoon, the boy visited the CEO's office for the first time. He stared in awe at the tall windows and busy people, then looked up and asked a simple question: "Do you help everyone like this?" The CEO smiled sadly. "I try to help when I see it," he said. "But I'm learning to look better." Years later, that boy would stand on a stage, speaking about compassion, about how one moment of kindness saved not just his family, but his belief in humanity. He would talk about a night in a grocery store, about food that meant survival, about a man who chose to stop and listen. And the CEO, still a single dad, would sit in the audience beside his daughter, understanding at last that success isn't measured by what you own, but by who you lift when they're too weak to stand. If this story moved you, let it remind you that sometimes a single sentence, spoken softly, can change a life. And sometimes, the greatest leaders are not the ones who speak the loudest, but the ones who listen when it matters most.